The already criminally indicted Republican pacesetter for president hit with fresh federal charges Tuesday, his third indictment in 4 months, this time related to efforts to overturn the 2020 election result, and which led to these chaotic scenes at the seat of government in January 2021.
An indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to disenfranchise voters, and conspiring and attempting to obstruct an official proceeding. The indictment was issued by a grand jury of citizens here in the District of Columbia, and it sets forth the crimes charged in detail. I encourage everyone to read it in full. The attack on our nation's capital on January 6, 2021, was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy. As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies. Lies by the defendant targeted at obstructing a bedrock function of the U.S. government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of the presidential election.
The 45th president is the only one charged in an indictment that also references 6 co-conspirators, accusing him of conspiring to defraud the United States, attempting to and obstructing an official government proceeding, and a 4th charge, to deprive people of civil rights provided by the Constitution, in this instance, the right to have their legitimate votes correctly reflected.
Since the attack on our capital, the Department of Justice has remained committed to ensuring accountability for those criminally responsible for what happened that day. This case is brought consistent with that commitment, and our investigation of other individuals continues. In this case, my office will seek a speedy trial so that our evidence can be tested in court and judged by a jury of citizens. In the meantime, I must emphasize that the indictment is only an allegation and that the defendant must be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law.
Trump took to social media, labeling these latest charges part of a broader effort to undermine his prospects of winning the 2024 presidential election, questioning why prosecutors waited 2.5 years to bring what he called fake charges. But this analyst says otherwise.
The indictment shows that Trump was not just lying about election fraud, but he used those lies in order to try to subvert the will of the people and to actually overturn the results of a lawful election. And so the indictment goes through in very painstaking detail how Trump was able to perpetuate this lie and knew indeed that it was a falsehood. And then to show how he systematically worked with other co-conspirators to try to perpetuate this lie.
The New York Times Siena College poll this week has Trump leading his nearest Republican rival by a massive 37 percentage points. He remains the front-runner by a country mile, and his growing criminal liability has done little to dent his hopes within the Republican electorate. Trump has already been federally indicted over allegations that he willfully mishandled classified government materials and faces additional hush money fraud charges in Manhattan, with 2020 election-related charges also pending in the state of Georgia. All this against the backdrop of a toxic political environment. Republican claims that the Department of Justice is weaponized against conservatives, and a 2024 election result that could literally determine Trump's fate and whether he'll stay out of jail or not. Sherwin Briceby's SABC News, New York.